details.
10-Minute Murder contains depictions of actual crimes. What you are about to hear is real and violent in nature. Discretion is advised. This is 10-Minute Murder.
Welcome to 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. I'm Joe, the host, and thanks for being here. On the day that I'm recording this, it's Veterans Day, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize the sacrifice of those who serve and have served. I grew up in an Army family, traveling all over the world, which, by the way, is why I don't sound like I'm from Alabama, which is where I live. But I've seen firsthand how difficult it is, even from a civilian's perspective, to live that life. And the people that choose to live that life deserve our acknowledgement, our respect, and our gratefulness. They are paying the tariff for our freedom, at the expense of a bit of their own freedom. Again, I know that words aren't enough, but especially to my own dad and my nephew Ed, I love you and I appreciate your commitment to serve. Our story today is better told by starting somewhere toward the end and working our way back. Edwin Laura kidnapped Andrea Mays. While fleeing police, he told Andrea that he wanted to do a Facebook Live video on her phone. After she refused, he threatened her. She eventually posted it as a private video on Facebook. He told her to title it Murderer on the Loose.
Hi everybody, I just want to say that I apologize for everything I've done. Most likely I'm going to get caught. And sorry about that girl. About that girl in Central Oregon. And I just want to let family members, Andrea, that she's fine and she will be fine because so far she's been doing what I've been telling her to do. You know, and if you guys are wondering if I have done dirty things to her, no. All right, I'm not that kind of guy. You know, I used to kill that other girl, you know, and I regret it. I regret killing her. You know, she's kept screaming and I had to silence her forever. So, you know, like I say, she's still fine. We're driving and she'll be home pretty soon. I'm sorry to her grandma and her family members, to her boyfriend. You know, I'm sorry for everything that I caused. You'll see her pretty soon. Okay? Tell the cops that not to shoot us, because if they shoot us, then that's not my fault. Sorry, everybody. Bye.
In 2016, Kaylee Sawyer was a 23-year-old dental assistant in the picturesque city of Bend, Oregon. She lived with her boyfriend, Cameron. On July 23rd, she and a group of friends went bar hopping. They were celebrating. It was a bachelorette party. By the way, what's the deal with bachelorette parties and all of the phallic-shaped accessories? I guess it's more fun to drink lemon drop martinis through a penis straw, but I'll take your word for it. So Kaylee and her friends were out in downtown Bend having a big time. At around midnight, the party train began to slow down, and she called her boyfriend Cameron to come and pick her up. On the ride home, they argued. Earlier that night, she was seen dancing and flirting with another guy. Cameron was obviously ticked. When they arrived, the argument spilled over into the parking lot of their apartment. He got tired of talking, as we guys often do, and went upstairs and inside. After 10 minutes and Kaylee still didn't come in, Cameron went down to check on her. She wasn't there. In the past, she'd cool off after arguments by taking a walk by herself. He assumed that was what she was doing this time too, but it was late, and she was probably more than a little bit drunk, so he was worried. He started texting, telling her to come home. She said basically her phone was dying, goodbye, and stopped responding. The next day, Kaylee still wasn't home. Cameron called her family and alerted them. No one knew where she was, and she still wasn't answering her text, and calls go straight to voicemail. Before they went out that night, she had left her car at a friend's house. They went over to check and see if she'd gone to get it. It was still there, undisturbed, right where she left it. Her mother and Cameron called police to report her missing. Monday comes, still no sign of Kaylee Sawyer. She didn't show up or call into work either. Police investigate the guy she was dancing with at the bar, as well as Cameron, her boyfriend, but don't find much of anything suspicious.
Sawyer was last seen early Sunday morning near her West Bend apartment parking lot, walking toward nearby Central Oregon Community College. Thousands of concerned residents spent the day putting up flyers and sharing their concern on Facebook.
And we just contacted everybody and said, please get her face out there.
So here's what did happen to Kaylee. After she set out on foot, cooling off after arguing with Cameron, a Central Oregon Community College security car pulled up beside her. A car driven by Edwin Lara. For whatever reason, she got in the car with him. Maybe she thought he was giving her a ride home. We don't really know. But what we do know is that he asked her to have sex with him. She said no. When she tried to escape and call for help, he strangled her until she was unconscious. He drove to an isolated parking lot. She woke up there and he choked her out again. He drug her out of the car, hit her on the head with a big rock, and raped her. When he realized that she was still alive, he found an even bigger rock and hit her on the head with that. He left her body there and drove back to the school campus, changed to his own personal vehicle, drove back to Kaylee's body, and put her in the trunk. He then drove to a nearby town and dumped her body there. He finished up his shift as a campus security officer, drove home, and got into bed with his wife, Isabel, who, by the way, was an actual police officer. 2 days later, Edwin told Isabel, when she noticed something was wrong and asked about it, that he killed someone. He said it was a hit and run, an accident. After telling her about it, he took her gun and car and took off. Being a police officer in a not-so-big town, she had heard about the missing Kaylee Sawyer and put two and two together. The person Edwin killed is probably her. He said one thing before he left. Her stuff is in the shed. Isabel went to the police station and told them everything she knew. Police immediately started looking for Edwin and searching the house for evidence. In the shed, they found a white bag with Kaylee's high heels, her purse, a blood-stained rock, and a clump of her hair. That was enough to tell them that the claim of hit and run was completely false, and their missing persons case just turned into a homicide investigation. So where did Edwin Lara go? He drove over 150 miles to Salem, Oregon, where he found Andrea Mays. She had just gotten off work and was sitting in her car, messing around with her phone, when Edwin showed up right outside her window, holding his wife's gun. He got in her car and told her to drive. He said that he killed someone and that she needed to drive him to California. After a little while, he took over driving the car. A few hours later, he pulled into a motel, got a room, handcuffed Andrea to the bed, and forced her to take sleeping pills. She thought he may have plans on raping her, and she didn't know what to do or how to stop it. About that time, her phone alarm went off. Pretty genius quick thinking, she tells Edwin that the alarm is to remind her to take her medication, her herpes medication. Edwin didn't rape her after that. The next morning, they were back on the road, but the car was breaking down. They pulled into another motel in Northern California, where Jack Levy was loading some photography gear into his car. Edwin demanded his vehicle. Jack called for help, so Edwin shot him in the stomach. Jack would live, but they still needed another car. Edwin Lara dragged Andrea across the street to a gas station, where a lady and her 2 grandsons were sitting in their car. He got in with Andrea, and the 5 of them set back out on the road. He eventually let the grandmother and 2 children out of the car on the side of the road, but not before creepily asking them if they ever had the urge to kill. Edwin and Andrea drove further. It's at this point where he records the video message that you heard earlier. Near Redding, California, Edwin was driving near 120 miles per hour. It drew the attention of the highway patrol. He then called 911 saying that he was going to turn himself in, and after a while on the phone with a dispatcher, he eventually did pull over and surrender.
So I was going to turn south on the do not enter area there, and I didn't see her. She was wearing all black, and I wasn't expecting anybody, at that time of night, so I just turned and I didn't hit her that hard. I just bumped her with the patrol car, and she fell down. And at first I thought, first thing I was, I killed her, but I didn't hit her that hard. So I got off the car, and she was really drunk. And then she looks at me, and then she started screaming. So I panicked, and I just grabbed her by the throat and I was shut up. I put her on the back of the patrol car, drove her up the B12 lot, and then I was panicking. I didn't know what to do. She already seen me. She saw my face. She started screaming again. So I grabbed the chokehold. So I threw her down and I hit over the rock on the head. After that, I dragged her body behind a tree there and I hit her with another rock. I think she died because I heard her breathing, her last breath.
He told police that he thought she was a hooker. He killed her only after she wouldn't stop screaming and then had sex with her body.
I made the decision at that time to silence her, to kill her.
The truth of the fact is this: what you mistook for a hooker was an absolute angel, was the apple of her mom and dad's eye, was the breath that they breathed, that they spent and cultivated all their life raising and growing. And she is gone forever with your semen all over her. That's the truth, man. Okay? It's brutal. It's hard to say. It's hard to sit in here. But you gotta face it before you can look your God in the eye and ask for that forgiveness and be able to receive it.
Kaylee's body was found. Edwin Lara was tried, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was also given a life sentence for kidnapping Andrea Mays. That's today's 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. I appreciate you listening today, Veterans Day, on the day that I'm doing this. And here are a few words from John Mayer. Thinking today of all veterans and the massive scope that it encompasses, those who have laid down their lives, those who returned home with injuries seen and unseen, those who have struggled to reintegrate, to remain physically and mentally healthy, to have developed talents and skills without a proper home for them upon transition into civilian life. Their contributions are massive and ongoing, and I send my appreciation and admiration to all who serve and have served. If you aren't subscribed to 10-Minute Murder, before you go, make sure to subscribe. And tell all your true crime loving friends about the podcast too. That's a huge help for me. Thank you for listening to 10-Minute Murder. Have a good night.
Present you is burnt out at your current job, but future you works at Geico, and future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule, so you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist, and yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right, give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Virginia Beach.
Present you is burnt out at your current job, but future you works at Geico, and future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule, so you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist, and yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right, give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Virginia Beach.
Was your dog born to dash and dance? This holiday season, find out where all that energy comes from with an Embark Dog DNA Kit. Discover your dog's unique breed mix by screening for 350 breeds and 190 genetic health conditions. Developed by veterinarians, give your dog the best care with the highest rated dog DNA test. Order now for the best deal of the year. Save $64 on a breed and health kit with promo code DNA at embarkvet.com. That's promo code DNA at embarkvet.com.
2020 has been a lot. A lot of couch sitting, binge watching, sweatpantsing, stress eating, feeling stuck kind of stuff. Get up and get unstuck at Planet Fitness. Join for just $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment. Now through November 18th. Stress less and move more in our super clean and spacious clubs. And the crowd meter in our app helps you pick the best time to visit. Join for just $1 down.